Greetings, I am a flabby man. So, I see a lot of people in general on the Reddit and Discord, less so Discord, but still there. But in general, everywhere, people are like, hey, you shouldn't learn full OLL, you shouldn't learn full PLL before you're this fast, because you can be sub 15 without full OLL. I didn't learn full OLL until I was sub 12, so that means you shouldn't learn it until you're sub 12. That argument is terrible. I was going to make a more formal, fancy video on this, and I still might. I just want to get this out there because I don't really have a lot of time to make the video that I wanted to on it. But I do want to get something out. So, you could use the same argument to say, well, you could average sub 12 with the beginner's method, so you shouldn't learn CFOP or RU until you're sub 12 with the beginner's method. The same logic applies. It's the same thing, yet people don't seem to realize it. And nobody would say that. So what's the difference here? And the answer is there isn't one. Now, I will say when it comes to learning algorithms, particularly OLL and PLL, it's not going to make a massive difference whether you learn it when you're averaging 30 seconds or when you're averaging 15. In the long run. However, it's still objectively better to learn the algorithms early than it is to learn them later. To an extent. You don't want to be learning OLL when you're averaging 17 minutes. But I'd say once you know how to learn algorithms, once you can do it relatively easily, learn it. There's no reason not to. Working on F2L and learning algorithms are not mutually exclusive. You can do both at the same time. People don't seem to realize that. They're like, hey, F2L is a bigger part of your solve, it's more important, therefore you should only work on F2L and not learn any algorithms. It doesn't make sense. You can spend 10 or 15 minutes a day learning 1 or 2 algorithms easily, while still spending the majority of your time working on F2L. So the reason that it's better to learn algorithms earlier simply comes down to the fact that in the long run, you're going to have more time practicing them. So, say you're using for look last layer, only working on F2L. You spend a bunch of time getting down to sub 15 before you start learning algorithms. That's an extreme example. It will still apply, but let's use 3 look last layer instead. So, all this time that you're practicing F2L, I'd imagine you're still doing solves. Full solves, timed solves, slow solves, anything, but you're doing the whole solve. If you aren't doing that, then that doesn't apply, however, I don't think that's likely. If you're doing full solves, then you are solving last layer. If you're solving last layer and not using 2 look last layer, you're not practicing 2 look last layer. Which means you're going to have less time practicing it, overall. And the same time learning algorithms is going to be spent either way. It's not like you're going to get less time to practice F2L overall if you learn OLL earlier, or while you're working on F2L. You're going to have the same time, except you're going to have more time to practice the algorithms and get better with them. So, if you do that, you're going to be practicing 3 look last layer instead of 2 look last layer, which is just a waste of practice time. You're practicing something that you aren't going to be using later on. And what people don't realize is that short-term improvement does not equal long-term improvement. It doesn't matter if you're going to be faster in not 2 months. It doesn't matter if you're going to be faster next week. What matters is whether you're going to be faster in a year, 2 years. That's what matters. Because yes, you will be faster next week, or even next month probably. You spend all your time working on F2L instead of learning OLL. It's probably true. But you go down next year, next 2 years. I don't think that's going to be the case. And that's what truly matters. As long as you want to get good, at least. If all your goal is to be like sub 20, then yeah, maybe working purely on F2L is the most efficient thing. But it's unlikely that that is your goal. You might think it is, but once you get there, you realize, hey, this doesn't feel good, I'm not happy with this, I want to be faster, I want to be sub 15. Then you get there, I want to be sub 12, then you get there, I want to be sub 10. Screw that, I want to be sub 3. It never ends for most people, so you're not going to be happy with it. So you should do what's most efficient. And that comes with being color neutral too. Like, if you're becoming color neutral, yes, 2 weeks from now, you are definitely not going to be as fast as if you weren't color neutral and just worked on F2L. But look further down the line, next year, next 2 years, I'd argue you're going to be faster if you become color neutral. But a lot of people don't want to do that because it's not as good in short term. So really what people need to do is stop focusing on short-term improvement and focusing on long-term improvement, if that's what their goal actually is. And it is true that your algorithmic improvement is going to reach an asymptote at some point, where you can practice a bunch, but they're not going to get very much faster. And that'll be relevant at very high levels, and I do understand that. However, it's still better to learn the algorithms earlier. So, that's basically the point of this video. It's a long video for not very much information, but it is an issue I see everywhere. But people bring it up all the time, and fuck! Where did this come from? I didn't know that was there. Goodbye. I don't know what I was saying. That screwed me up. Thanks for that, Erno.